All right. Welcome to this week's Real Bible Study. For those who don't know me, my name is Danielle Jordan, and I am the Bible Study Facilitator. This week, we are going to be reading Genesis 32 and 33. So if you can turn with me in your Bibles to Genesis 32. But as always, before we start, we're going to start with prayer. Are we ready? Yes? Okay. All right. Lord, open our eyes
Lord, open our eyes
Lord, open our eyes
so we can see something we've never saw before.
so we can see
we can see
something we've
something we
never
never
saw
saw
before.
before.
Open our ears
Open our
ears
so we can hear something we've never heard before.
so we can hear something we never heard before.
And open our hearts
something we've
And open our
never
hearts
heard before.
so we can receive
And
something
open
we
our
never
hearts.
received before.
So we can receive something we've never received
Before. Amen. All right. So while I'm reading the chapter, and we could just all go on mute so that way we won't get all that feedback into the recording. So are we all at Genesis 32? Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Jacob went on his way, and God's angels met him. When he saw them, Jacob said, "This is God's camp." So he called that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the territory of Edom. He commanded them, "You are to say to my lord Esau, this is what your servant Jacob says. I have been staying with Laban and have been delayed until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, and male and female slaves. I have sent this message to inform my lord in order to seek your favor." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau. He is coming to meet you, and he has 400 men with him." Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people with him into two camps, along with the flocks, herds, and camels. He thought, if Esau comes to one camp and attacks it, the remaining one can escape. Then Jacob said, "God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, 'Go back to your land and to your family, and I will cause you to prosper.' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. Indeed, I crossed over the Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two camps. Please rescue me from my brother Esau, for I am afraid of him. Otherwise, he may come and attack me, the mothers and their children. You have said, 'I will cause you to prosper, and I will make your offspring like the sand of the sea, too numerous to be counted.'" He spent the night there and took part of what he had brought with him as a gift for his brother Esau: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. He entrusted them to his slaves as separate herds and said to them, "Go on ahead of me and leave some distance between the herds." And he told the first one, "When my brother Esau meets you and asks, 'Who do you belong to? Where are you going? And whose animals are these ahead of you?' then tell him, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to my lord Esau. And look, he is behind us.'" He also told the second one, the third, and everyone who was walking behind the animals, "Say the same thing to Esau when you find him. You are also to say, 'Look, your servant Jacob is right behind us.' For he thought, 'I want to appease Esau with the gift that is going ahead of me. After that, I can face him, and perhaps he will forgive me.' So the gift was sent on ahead of him while he remained in the camp that night. During the night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 slave women, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of Japheth. He took them and sent them across the stream along with all his possessions. Okay. If I had to put a title on this week's Bible study, I am titling it "Life for Me Ain't Been No Crystal Stair."
Danielle,
Yes.
mine ain't in there. My
Your
chapter
what?
32 go on.
Oh, mine ended. Oh, it did. You're right. I'm sorry. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he could not defeat him, he struck Jacob's hip socket as they wrestled and dislocated his hip. Then he said to Jacob, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. What is your name? The man asked. Jacob replied, your name will no longer be Jacob, he said. It will be Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him, please tell me your name. But he answered, why do you ask my name? And he blessed him there. Jacob then named the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face. He said, yet my life has been spared. The sun shone on him as he passed by Peniel, limping because of his hip. That is why still today the Israelites don't eat the thigh muscle that is at the hip socket, because he struck Jacob's hip socket at the thigh muscle. Thank you so much, because Lord, that's in the lesson. All right, so if I had to put a title on this week lesson, I'm going to title it Life for Me Ain't Been No Crystal Stair. Life for Me Ain't Been No Crystal Stair. James Mercer Langston Hughes was born on February 1st, 1901, and he died May 22nd, 1967. When he was 17 years old, he wrote his best known and most celebrated Mother to Son on the back of an envelope on a train ride. I grew up hearing my mother recite certain parts of this poem and her telling me, this is my favorite poem. Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It has tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, eyes have been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark when there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps because you find it's kind of hard. Don't you fall now, for I still going, honey. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. She would always say to us, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Of course, while growing up, I really didn't understand what she was talking about or even what she meant, what about when she was going through. It took me to grow up, have a child of my own, move out, and go through my own trials and tribulations that I really understood that line, that life for me ain't been no crystal stair. When you hear that line, what do you think he meant when he wrote it?
Life ain't been easy.
Life ain't been easy.
And-
Yep. Ain't anybody else?
The struggle is real.
The struggle is
Yep.
real. Yes. Anybody else?
Mhm.
Okay. So I said the mother's life wasn't easy, and her journey through life had been like climbing a staircase. And that is just what I saw when studying these chapters, a journey that wasn't straight and sure didn't shine like a crystal stair. Let's dive in. In Genesis 31, we find Jacob at a staircase, and he is trying to climb his way to the top. At the bottom of the staircase, who does Jacob come in contact with? So that right back at the top of 32. At the bottom of the staircase, who does he come in contact with? It's right in verse 1. Anybody? Okay, so he came in contact with God's angels. Okay. So I said, we are going to take these stairs, and each level of the stairs that we're on, we're going to give it a name. So I said, Jacob comes into contact with the angels, which leads me to believe that before we can begin to climb our staircase or go on our journey, we have to make sure we have some angels to take with us. So we're going to name Jacob's stairs Manham, which means two camps or two companies. So as Jacob begins to take his stairs, he had to take steps to get to the next level or floor. And at each level, he had to stop and go through something. We're going to label these floors as we go along. So on level 1 of the stairs of Manham, what did Jacob have to do before he could get to the next level? Anybody have any ideas? And so I would say we are about, for that, verse 3.
He
Okay.
sent messengers.
Yeah. He sent messengers. He sent the messengers. So it says, he sent messages before him to Esau to inform him that he is coming home. So if you had to give this floor level a name, what would you name it and why? So now he got to go back to the home where he ran from because he didn't deceived his brother. He had to send all this stuff in ahead of him. So what would you call this part of him at this time, at this place of his staircase, his life not being a crystal stair? If you had to put a name to it, what would you name it? Anybody have any guess? Like how you feel, what you think Jacob was feeling at this very moment when he had to send these messengers to go to his brother to let him know I'm coming home. Okay. I said humility. He had to be humble. Because now he got to humble himself and go back home to where he came from. So now I said, now that Jacob had to humble himself and send his messengers to his brother's land on level 2 of the stairs of Manhattan, what did Jacob have to endure? So now we are on around verse 6. What did the messengers tell him when they came back? Okay.
They met his brother.
Yeah. They said that your brother is coming and he bringing 400 men with him. Can you imagine how Jacob felt while he was waiting on this level? I'm sure he felt like he is going to kill me and he's going to take everything I own. He might kill my family. He might kill my kids. He might take my wives to be wives of his own because he told me when I left 20 years ago that he was going to kill me. So when you get to, when Jacob is on this floor or this level of his life ain't been no crystal stair, what would you name this level? So we've been
Maybe consequences.
I like consequences. Yeah. Consequences for his actions. Now he dealing with the consequences. I like that. Anybody else have a name? They want to name this level? I said scared or concerned. Anybody see that? He was scared when he came back and told him, your brother coming, but he coming also with 400 men. So I said, now that Jacob had to deal with being humble and now scared, what did he have to deal with on level 3 of the stairs of Manhattan? And that is about verse 7. Okay. Somebody had something?
I was going to say when he divided his household.
That's exactly what it is. He divided his people and his animals into 2
Yeah.
companies, thinking that if Esau attacked one company, the other company would get away. What would you name this floor?
Strategy.
I like it. Strategy. What else? I was thinking like, remember, you know that book that they say people read in the military, The Art of War?
Yep, okay.
So I like that. I like that too. But anybody else have any names that they would name this floor when he decided,
Just in
okay,
case.
just in case. I like that, Ashley. Just in case. Anybody else? You gotta have you a just in case plan. Anybody else have a name that they want to, that they feel like they would name it? Okay, I said faithless because he should have believed that God would do just what he said. He told him he would protect him. He will always prosper him. He would let no ill or harm come to him, but he didn't believe what God said. So before we move on, is there any verse up until about verse 8 that anybody want to discuss or pull out before we go to the next floor? Okay. So now Jacob has been humbled. He's scared. and faithless. What did he have to deal with on level 4 of the stairs of Mahanaim? And that's going to be around verse 9. Okay, so I said Jacob found himself praying and asking God to deliver him from his brother's hand because he was afraid of his brother and what he would do to him and his family. What would you name this floor? So if you had to put a name on this, he said, God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, go back to your land and to your family, and I will cause you to prosper. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. Indeed, I crossed over the Jordan with my staff, and now I have become 2 camps. Please rescue me from my brother Esau, for I am afraid of him. Otherwise, he may come and attack me, the mothers and their children. You have said, I will cause you to prosper, and I will make your offspring like the sand of the sea, too numerous to be counted. What would you name this floor if you had to give it a name? Because now he praying. Because ain't that what we do when we getting ourselves backed up against the wall? We start to pray. So do you think he desperate? Desperation? What would you name it?
That's what I said, desperate.
Desperate? Anybody
I
else?
said desperate.
Desperation. Anybody else have a name for it? For this floor? I said reverence. Because now he is showing God reverence and asking God for help. I saw, wow, now Jacob has been humbled, scared, faithless, and showed God reverence. What did he have to deal with on level 5 of the stairs of Mahanaim? So that's going to be about verse 14. It starts at verse 14. What did he have to deal with then? So if you had to read around verse 14, what do you think he had to deal with at that time? So I said he had to send his brother Esau gifts to try and gain some favor in his brother's eyes. What would you call this floor?
Maybe manipulation.
Manipulation? I like that. So you think he's trying to manipulate his brother?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Anybody else? If this was you and you going back home or trying to go back home and your brother done told you 20 years ago, if I see you again, I'm gonna kill you. And now you had to leave from your father-in-law land and because the Lord told you go back home, but you know you're really not welcome there. So you
It's
sending
almost
up
like
all
you
this
gotta-
stuff.
It's like you try to, like, what you say, like, save face.
Save face. Okay. I like that. Anybody else? I said acceptance.
Mm.
He wanted to be accepted by his brother and find and be back in his good graces. Anybody see that? Like a bribe, like I'm trying to bribe him, just like Ashley said, like a manipulation. But ultimately, he just really wanted to be accepted. So now we said Jacob has gone through being humble. He's scared. He's faithless. He's showing God reverence. And now he wanting to be accepted. What did he have to deal with on level 6 of the stairs of Mahanaim? And that's right where I almost messed that. Verse 24. What did he have to deal with then? They just had it here on Monday night.
He had to fight.
He had to
He had
fight.
to wrestle.
He had to wrestle. Yes, he had to wrestle. So he had to wrestle with God. He wrestled all night and he never let the man beat him. But he told God, I won't let you go until you bless me. What would you name this floor? So he up all night. It's like he going round for round. No matter what the Lord was giving, dishing how he was taking. And he wasn't giving up. What would you name this floor? Got you thinking, huh? So think about yourself in this time frame.
How about the turning point?
Like it. Yes, the turning point. It's turning around for me. So do you think at this very moment it's turning around for Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, he wrestled with God. It's turning around. Anybody else? I named it the blessing because he said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. So I named it, this is the floor where he got blessed, right? So now I said, Jacob stairs are sure not crystal. He's gone through some stuff. Y'all, you know how it is. You're like, oh God, how much more can I take? He done been humble. He done been scared. He been faithless. He had to show God reverence. He wanted to be accepted. And now he wanting to be waiting and wanting to be blessed. What did he have to deal with now on level 7 of the stairs of Mahanaim? And that's going to be
His name changed?
not yet.
Oh.
31. What did he have to deal with? What did he leave?
He was injured.
He was injured. Yes, he had to deal with a dislocated hip. So if you injured, what you gonna call this level on these stairs, on your stairs of not being a crystal staircase? What you gonna call it?
Bruised but not broken.
My God, I love it. Bruised but not broken. Anybody else? I love it. Bruised but not broken. I love that, Ashley. Anybody else?
I said hurt.
Hurt. Yes. Scarred. Anybody else got any names for this level? I said wounded. Now he's wounded. But the only thing is, Jacob wound, it may heal, but when you see Jacob, you still see the effect of his wrestling with God. You know, that isn't that how that happens though? Think about it. You might wake up the next morning and you might not be the same that you were the night before because you didn't gone through a wrestling match with the Lord the night before. So you woke up a little bit different. And that's how Jacob is. We might not be limping, but we waking up different. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now Jacob is on his journey to the top of his stairs of Mahanaim. He had to pass through being humble, being scarred, being faithless, showing God reverence, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be blessed, and now he is wounded. What does he have to deal with next? Oh. Wait a minute. We gotta read. I'm sorry, y'all. All right, we're going to chapter 33. Now Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming toward him with 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 slave women. He put the slaves and their children first, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. We'll talk about that. He himself went on ahead and bowed to the ground 7 times until he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet him, hugged him, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Then they wept. When Esau looked up and saw the woman and children, he asked, "Who are these with you?" He answered, "The children God has graciously given your servant." Then the slaves and their children approached him and bowed down. Leah and her children also approached and bowed down. And then Joseph and Rachel approached and bowed down. So Esau said, "What do you mean by this whole procession that I met?" "To find favor with my Lord," he answered. "I have enough, my brother." Esau replied, "Keep what you have." But Jacob said, "No, please. If I have found favor with you, take this gift from me. For indeed, I have seen your face, and it's like seeing God's face since you have accepted me. Please take my present that was brought to you, because God has been gracious to me and I have everything I need. So Jacob urged him until he accepted. Then Esau said, let's move on and I'll go ahead of you. Jacob replied, my Lord knows that the children are weak and I have nursing flocks and herds. If they are driven hard for one day, the whole herd would die. Let my Lord go ahead of his servant. I will continue on slowly at a pace suited to the livestock and the children until I come to my Lord at Stair. Esau said, well, let me leave some of my people with you. But he replied, why do you do that? Please indulge me, my Lord. That day, Esau started on his way back to Stair, but Jacob went to Succoth. He built a house for himself and shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was called Succoth. After Jacob came from Padan, he arrived safely at Shechem in the land of Canaan and camped in front of the city. He purchased a section of the field where he had pitched his tent from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of silver, and he set up an altar there and called it God, the God of Israel. So after reading that, what do you think? What do you think about the order?
The people that was less important to him went first.
And that's something.
Mhm.
Rachel and Jacob was Rachel and that famous son was last. Can you imagine him how they had to feel knowing how you lined us up? I mean, they already know that Rachel was his favorite, but you just ain't say let's draw sticks or nothing. You just put them all in front of me. How do you think they felt? Let's talk about that. Do you think he even put any thought to the order? And if you had to put a name on this stick, this level of the stairs, what would you name it?
I would be real angry.
You would be angry?
Yeah,
Why would you be angry?
because you would.
You
put
ain't have
others-
us all. Yep, you put others before me.
Mhm,
Because you could
mhm.
have easily lined us all up across a line
That's right.
and had us
That's
all go
right.
at the same time. But you made like rows. And you saved what you felt, like Ashley said, the best for last. What he felt was his best. Anybody else seen any problems? In this whole situation and him bowing and all of that? Okay. So I said in Genesis 33, so we did miss a floor, y'all. I do apologize. Please pray for me today. But okay, so because we missed up with him naming his name change. So that should have been the next level. He changed his name to Israel, and he is indeed a blessed man. Because Israel translates to mean God perseveres. What would you name this floor? So I said persevere, because Jacob prevailed, because he endured all of these previous floors that God had to take him to until he got to the top of the stairs. So now we're in Genesis 33. I said we're now at the top of these stairs, and I'm going to call this floor the penthouse. We all know the penthouse is the best floor, and everybody does not get to go to the penthouse. In some buildings, you had to have a special key code or a special key altogether to get to that floor. The lesson is this: you have to go through all of these other floors before you can get to the penthouse. You can't skip the floors. You might not have to stop on every floor, and the doors might not even open, but you can't get to the penthouse without going past all of these other floors. So you have to go through being humbled. You have to go through sometimes being faithless. Everything, all of these floors that we named, you have to go through everything at one point before you can get to the penthouse. Getting to the penthouse is our goal. But you can't get there without taking these levels. And then to know that when you take this level, to get to the level, you gotta make steps, right?
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
just jump. So you gotta say, okay, like sometimes I count the steps in my house to get from the first floor to the second floor. 11 steps. Now I might can skip a couple and still get up there, but also skipping could cause me to fall, break a hip, twist my ankle, break my ankle, fall backwards and fall all the way back down the steps. So each step that we have to take to get to that next level is
It's
necessary.
crucial.
And so we have to go through all of those things to get to the penthouse. We don't get to, and some of us on here may get married. So we could be like Israel and our names change and then we become blessed. Some of us on here may never get married, but we're still blessed. Our names may never change in the physical world by just saying, okay, my name is no longer this, it is now this. But in your mind, you be like, you know what? I'm a new person. I'm a new creature. So I'm still going to deal with that. And I'm still different. So let's recap all that we had to go through to get to this penthouse. So we had to be humble. We had to be scared. And sometimes we have to be faithless. And before we know God, when we finally accept him in our life, we have to give him reverence. Because there's been times when we wasn't even praying to him. We thought we could do it all ourselves.
Yes.
So we had to then start being reverent. It's always been sometime, and even still, we want to be accepted. So we have to go through wanting to be accepted. And we do want to be blessed. We want the Lord to bless us. And we have to go through being wounded. Or like some of y'all said, scarred, hurt. We have to deal with this hurt. And we have to take all of this with us, though. We don't get to say, okay, now that I made it to the floor where I am now faithless, I don't get to drop off being humble and being scared on this floor. I still got to pick faithless up and carry it with me to the next floor, because all of that is necessary to be deserving of the penthouse. You don't just get the penthouse or the penthouse effect. You got to go through the stairs to get to the penthouse. So I said, if you had to give this penthouse a name, y'all, what would you name the penthouse?
Healing.
Healing. I love it. And what else?
My time.
My
The time is
time.
mine.
I
Order
love
my
it.
steps.
Order my steps.
Gratitude.
My God. Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Order my
Gratitude.
steps. I love that one. Okay, let me write these down. So we had order my steps. We had, Ashley, what you say?
Healing.
Healing.
What somebody else say?
I said, it's my time.
It's my time. Yes. It's my
New birth.
penthouse. New birth.
Oh,
I
new
love
birth.
that one. Yes. Anything else? What would y'all? Okay, these be y'all crystal stairs. So now, what would y'all name y'all stairs? And then I'm gonna tell you what I would name mine. If nobody don't give them a name before I get to mine.
Mine would
Trusted the
be
process.
It's a
I thought the
process.
same thing. Trust the
Mine
process.
said I trusted the process.
Trust the process, y'all. Y'all come. I love it. What else?
mine is it's my time now.
It's my time now. Okay.
It's my time.
All right. Anybody else got a name for this?
Started from the bottom, now I'm here.
Yes,
I
Ashley.
know
Yes,
you right.
new
I
friends.
know you right.
Yeah, I like it. Started from the
I
bottom.
know you right.
Yes, I like it. I wish I would have thought about that one. Thank you, Ashley. What else? And I was just singing this yesterday. Wasn't I somebody talking to somebody? I was singing this yesterday. And now I'm here. Started from the
I
bottom.
hear, something say trial and error.
I like it. There's no wrong names. Trial and error. Yes. Anybody else? Y'all, I said forgiveness.
Woo!
I named my penthouse forgiveness. And the forgiveness is not just about others. The forgiveness is for me. Because we got to be able to forgive so that we can move on to our penthouse. And the forgiveness is not really saying we forget what people did. It's just saying, okay, this forgiveness is for me because I can't carry this with me no more. And more importantly, sometimes we got to forgive ourselves. for the things that we allowed to happen to us, and the places that we
Lord.
allowed ourselves to go, and the things that we allowed ourselves to do. So sometimes even in that forgiveness, it's okay to say, you know what, I forgive me. I look in the mirror sometimes and be like, you know what, I forgive me. And I look at the little girl that I used to be, and I be like, you know what, please forgive me. Because I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So once you can let that go, you really can grow and you really can get to the penthouse. I love all of these names, y'all. This really made my day. But that forgiveness piece is really so important, because think about the story. Esau forgave his brother.
Yeah.
And here Jacob, and isn't that something? We sitting around here thinking one thing, and here's something totally different. We thinking, oh, they ain't gonna never want me back there. They ain't gonna never let me come for Sunday dinner. I'm not welcome there. And all along, you was already forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't stay away 20 years because he thought his brother was gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And his brother was so happy to see him. And we could also name our penthouse happiness.
Yeah.
But even though sometimes we on the top, it don't necessarily mean we happy.
Oh.
But I also like that we have to remember those things. See, because when you start remembering what it took for you to get to the penthouse, you will stay.
Yeah.
Because you'll appreciate it. Because it took you something to get there. If somebody came and you ain't been through nothing, if you ain't never had to be humbled, or ever had to have your faith tested, or ever not understood what it was being to be accepted and handed you some keys to some penthouse, you gonna get up there, you might trash it. Act a fool. Because you ain't had to go through nothing to get it.
Exactly.
You ain't gonna appreciate it.
Exactly.
So it's that forgiveness piece that we really need to focus on, because sometimes we might just need to write it down for ourselves and say, you know what, because this is between me and the Lord. This is my Lord home assignment. I gotta write down this forgiveness, because it's some people I gotta forgive. And just so I can get to my penthouse.
That's right.
Because that might just be what's holding you back. So in 33, before I tie this all together, in 33, is there anything else that people saw in 33 that really could focus on that forgiveness piece? Or even when we started from the bottom and then we here, because even like Ashley said, think about it. When we was taking this journey with Jacob and Esau, even, Jacob wasn't the favorite of his father.
That's right.
And Esau was, but Jacob did steal. Well, the blessing was his anyway, but he stole the blessing from his brother, because his father was trying to give him something that wasn't his. But he really stole what was his. But anyway, he started from the bottom. He had to go to Laban's house. He had to work there for these two wives. One of them he didn't even really want. He had these two slaves. He had all these children. He prospered, though. The Lord blessed him. He became a master herdsman. He became rich and he became wealthy. And then he said, okay, now it's time for you to go back. But isn't that something, when God didn't let him go back, though, until he was something?
Yeah.
He ain't let him go back the way he left.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all notice that? He ain't let him go back in his brother clothes.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't let him go back without nothing in his pocket. He let him go back a whole different person. So I'm a tie it together. Then we're going to come back and we're going to decide, talk about what did we learn. So hold on. Wait. Remember that from Coming to America? Sexual chocolate. All right. What did we learn? What did we learn? On our stair, I'm about to call it Stairway to Heaven. Lord, what did we learn on our crystal stairs?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness is important. Forgiveness is key. What else?
Don't try and take shortcuts. Just trust the process.
Yes.
Mhm.
Don't take
Trust the
shortcuts.
journey.
Lord, trust the journey. That is definitely part of it. Don't take shortcuts and trust the journey. Anybody else?
No matter how bruised or beaten you are, keep going.
Keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Anybody
Stay
else?
humble.
Stay humble.
Stay humble.
That's easier said than done, but I love it. Stay humble.
Mhm.
Anybody else? What did you learn?
I took from it that pace yourself, go through the trial and error, and know that it's going to be good at the end. I know for myself,
Pace
I I,
yourself.
I second guess myself all the time, and I'd be like, nope, I can't do it. But then I'm like, let me just keep myself going.
Mm-hmm. At a steady pace. I like that.
Mhm.
I like that. Pace yourself. I like that on your journey. Because you'll get there. It's not a it's
Yeah,
not a it's not a marathon.
you gotta
Yes.
have patience too.
Patience.
Mhm.
Oh, I need
Gotta
that.
have patience.
I
Mhm.
need
You gotta
that.
have patience.
Yes, patience. Anything else?
I took from it, remember your past so you could appreciate not so
Mm.
much your
Come on,
future, but
Ashley.
what you have now. You can appreciate real time. So you got to remember the past in order to appreciate what you have in the moment.
Jesus.
Mhm.
Come on, Ashley.
Come through,
Honey,
Ashley.
come on with it.
Yes, remember your past so you can appreciate your present and be excited about your future. Remember your
Mhm.
past.
And
That's right.
gratitude. Be
So you
grateful.
can
Mhm.
appreciate your presence. I need it. And it's big so you can be excited about your future. Be grateful.
It just takes me back to who me. It couldn't be.
Girl, you better say it. So you be who me? It couldn't be in this penthouse.
It couldn't be me in this penthouse. This is for me.
This is
It
for
couldn't be
me.
me.
About your future. I love it. Anybody else? Be grateful. Anybody else learn? Well, I learned that kind of sort of like what Ashley has said, that it's okay to be bruised. And it's great not to be broken. Right?
Mm.
So the bruises can heal. And even though the breaks they can heal too. They might not heal the same way. But the bruises will fade quicker than the broken bones. But sometimes you can look back and still see the remnants of the bruise, which is necessary. Because sometimes we need that as the lesson. Like if you think about it, I wonder if Jacob said, you know what, I ain't taking nobody else's blessings. I'm not going to trick nobody else because of what it all cost me. Just like last week, what a week before that, what did it cost him? Was it worth that? Was everything that he went through worth what he had to go through to get to his penthouse? And see, sometimes when we get to our penthouse, we can ask ourselves that. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you get to that penthouse, everybody that started on that journey might not make it.
Just might not come.
And maybe all the animals and maybe all the slaves, maybe he lost a few across that journey. That wasn't in there. But we all know when we go on our stairway to the penthouse of our forgiveness or whatever we name in our staircase.
You want to know what else I learned?
What else?
Sorry, it just came to me. The ultimate plan is up to God, because Jacob was making those plans trying to divide his family into two families, and the whole time he didn't even have to do that. Esau forgave him anyway.
Yeah. The whole but isn't that, if you think about all this, the whole process with Jacob, he had two families anyway, Ashley. He had his family with Rachel and her slave, and his family with Leah and her slave. So that's why it probably wasn't even hard for him to think about breaking them up in two. Because he always looked at them as two anyway. He might not have ever looked at them as one. Anybody else? But I like that God.
Ain't that a saying? Don't make you want to hear God laugh, make plans. Ain't that a saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what you always say, Ashley, don't put a question mark where God put a period.
Hello.
That's that. She said all the time. Don't put a question mark where God put a period. Stop asking questions. He told you this was what was going to be done.
That's right. That's right.
All right, y'all. Well, it's about to be time. I hope that y'all enjoyed My Life Is Not a Crystal Stair. Thank my mother, because she said it all the time. And I chose Luther because that's her favorite artist. So this is old to Vicky. But anybody else want to share anything before we end the session for tonight? Well, I thank y'all.
Want to say,
okay, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to my sister Aisha for bringing me to this, because I was excited all day.
Well, I hope you had a good time.
Yes, I had a good time. I enjoyed it last week, and God knows I enjoyed it this week.
Well, I hope to see you next week.
I'm here.
All right. Well, I'll be sending out my emails. Well, I'm glad for everybody that's on here. It does my heart joy when you guys tell me, like my sister sent me a text message every Thursday morning. She'd be like, Bible study tonight. Yes. And I see Aisha told me you reached out to her and told her that you was excited for Bible study. That's why I do it. I love to hear people get so excited about Bible study. But make sure y'all just keep me prayed up so I could keep these innovative ideas, so I could come to y'all with something different, so we can look at it from our perspective and from our times, and how these things can affect us today. Because sometimes we can get lost in going to church because they might not show you or teach you or tell you how you can apply these things to your life today. So I just try to find something to do where it can be relatable, where we can say, you know what, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. And it did have text, and some of my stairs was raggedy and they squeaked when I walked on it. But I still went through every step to get to where I needed to be so I could get to my penthouse. Because that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. But thank y'all for joining me and keeping it real with me. And I can't wait to keep it real with y'all next week. Good night, everybody.
I can't wait. Good night, y'all.
All right, good night.
Good night.